thank you for joining us. I'm Joy.
And I'm Laura.
And this is The Witches of Letters, a supernatural rewatch podcast.
Buckle up as we dive into Season 4, Episode 14, Sex and Violence.
What a fun title.
Yeah.
So lighthearted. So chill.
Yeah, not triggering at all.
No, you guys should know that before we started properly recording, I got the giggles and I was trying to do our intro and I kept laughing. And Laura was like, I'm going to make it worse. So she was like, chop, chop, Joy. Time is money. And every time she said something like that, I just absolutely folded in and laughed so I could not breathe, guys. I couldn't breathe. And all I could think about is like when I'm listening to supernatural convention footage and they're talking about like Jared having his foot on somebody's crotch while they're trying to film because he's trying to break them. That's all I can think about. It's like a very similar vibe to us podcasting because she's saying things that she knows will destroy me and I'll laugh so hard.
But it was funny because you were the one that was like, come on, we need to get going because we've been talking for ages. And then
oh yeah, I know.
And then you got the giggles. So I made it worse.
And I couldn't do it at all. It was the most ironic thing ever. I was like, yeah, we've got to do this. Let's go. Let's be serious now. But I absolutely folded like a wet pack of cards. Did you guys know that for the 20th anniversary charity, I think most of you probably do know because I know there's a lot of Misha fans following along. But basically, him and Random Acts of Kindness for the 20th anniversary started raising money for charities. Now, I was delighted because this is the first time that I've been so involved in the fandom that I actually found about it on time while the campaign was running. And I was able to like pitch a little bit of money in towards it. And guys, it felt as good as I thought it would because all the causes are really, really valuable. I actually have links in my show notes for this episode, so you guys can go and donate it too, because he said today there is not a cap at all. It's
cool.
not something that's going to end. There's not a time limit on it. It was just they had a goal and they surpassed the goal in like the first couple of days, I think, maybe hours. I don't know. People were on it. And I low-key like got really emotional about it on the day because I really, really wanted to be part of community and actually doing things towards stuff like this for such a long time. And this is the first opportunity that I really had because I wasn't that active in the fandom for any of the t-shirt campaigns or the other stuff. So all of it is stuff that I'm like looking at in the review mirror and being like, oh, that would have been so cool to be a part of. This time though, the 20th anniversary, I was on that bus, man. And that is so cool. So we raised all together, I say we as in the SPN fandom, everybody who pitched in, everybody who's going to pitch in, already it's hit $250,000.
Wow.
And he was like, he made a post today, which I've linked in if you guys want to see that. He did a video with everybody, Jensen, Jared, like everybody, so many members of the cast got in on it. I think Kripke's in it as well. It was really, really cool. So that's in my show notes link. You guys can watch that. Then there's his video being like, what the hell? Like, how did this actually, like, holy shit, how is this happening? And it's so cute and he's so happy and it's just so wholesome. Definitely get in on that. It doesn't matter how much you pitch in at all. I wasn't able to throw in a lot, but it was just like helping at all and being part of it together. Like just doing it all together is very cool. Seeing all the causes that they're doing is absolutely sick. They're supporting so many great causes. So click the link in the show notes. It doesn't matter when you listen to this episode because he said that he's not going to end it or cap it so it can just keep rolling on. And I see that as a challenge personally. Like I think that we should try to just add in as many little bits as we can and see how big we can grow it because what a cool goal.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so did you recognize Hoyt from True Blood?
Yeah.
I didn't know who he was.
I was like, okay, I know who he is. And then I was like, I think he was in True Blood. Yeah.
Yeah. So the guy who plays Nick, Jim Perrick, I don't know how you say his name.
Yeah, the other FBI, fake FBI guy.
Fake FBI guy, Siren Man.
Siren Man.
Siren Man. when I first saw this episode, I thought he looked familiar, and I'm still not entirely sure like what that was from because that was years ago. But now I know it's because of Hoyt and True Blood, and also he is in the Suicide Squad. He plays one of the Joker's henchmen. And I was like, oh, that's where I know you from. Amazing, amazing.
I definitely knew him from True Blood, and that's it.
Yeah, he looks different. Like he's like a kind of a thirst trap in this episode.
Yeah.
And I'm not normally attracted to him. In terms of the characters that he plays, like the characters he plays are not generally my type. This was such a different character for him to be playing. It was so cool, and I was like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
So I was thrilled by that discovery.
Yeah.
Now there are Destiel fans who say that Nick Monroe, like Dean having a male siren, is a clue that Dean is bisexual. And I think that's really dumb. Like, because he's basically a siren in drag because she knows that Dean's weakness is the fracture in his relationship with Sam. And Sam is who Dean loves most in the world. And that's the siren's whole MO, is going after who you love most, right?
Yeah, I didn't see it as romantic. I saw it as he wanted to be his brother.
Exactly. So this is basically the siren just acting out the behavior that we see all episode. He's acting like the version of Sam that Dean wishes that he had, who's the little brother who like loves the Impala as much as Dean does and gets it, and the one who knows Dean's whole discography and like loves every single musical reference. He acts like he can tell Dean anything and appears really straight talking, whereas we know Sam's been lying to Dean, and that's what's like shaking him up.
Yeah.
The only really gay reference in this whole episode, which I find personally hilarious, is the hyacinths. Do you know like the mythology behind hyacinth and why it's super gay? Okay, it's super gay, and as a queer person, this tickles me. So basically, there is the most beautiful man that you've ever seen in your life. Okay, he was a prince of Sparta, I believe, and gods and mortal men were like, oh, this man is hot. I would like to be with this man, okay? And Apollo won out because Apollo is Apollo, and Apollo has game for days, all right? Now, there's different versions of how this happens, but basically there's a tragic accident, and either Apollo accidentally kills Hyacinth because they're playing with discuses and it's ancient Greek gayness, so they're all
accidentally.
No, actually accidentally. No, he loved him. It is actually quite a sad story. So basically, Hyacinth is running after the discus, and either the jealous god of the North Wind or another one of the jealous gods pushes it and specifically has it struck him in the head until he dies out of pure jealousy and rage, or it's just an accident and the discus rebounds off of a rock that he doesn't see until it's too late, and then it smashes him in the head and he dies.
Ouch.
Then Apollo is so unbelievably distraught that he does what deities do and turns this man into a plant. You know, because when deities are really, really upset in Greek myths about someone dying, they make them immortal by turning them into some kind of beautiful mystical plant.
Yeah,
so he turns them into
a
Hyacinth.
Constellation or something.
Yeah. So Hyacinth have this property where they are gorgeous, they smell amazing, they actually lift your mood. I think science says they produce oxytocin or something. And if you're having lots of nightmares, they actually recommend that you have a hyacinth plant in your room because it can soothe like trauma and nightmares and stuff. And I've done that before and it worked for me. So if you're in a funk or you're having issues with that, it's not medicine and I'm not a doctor and I'm not trying to give you guys medical advice, but it is very nice. So you can try it if you want to.
Interesting.
So I find all that really fascinating. But like that's the gayest thing in this whole episode is the fact that like hyacinths are a reference to a gay relationship. A beautiful gay relationship, sadly destroyed by petty jealousy or a terrible accident, depending on which version you go with. But yeah, no, yeah. I don't think this is like a Destiel moment. I don't see this as Dean being bisexual. I see this as
I didn't.
The siren doing the siren thing. You could say the siren being drag is kind of gay and fun, But that's all I've got for you guys. I've got gay Greek myths and I've got drag. And that's what I have.
Oh. Well, loads of my family are allergic to hyacinths. What does that mean?
Evil demons. I don't know. They're just not Greek story adjacent. They can't enjoy that particular flower. That's sad for them.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if I liked this episode. From an entertainment point of view, it's a good episode. Storyline wise, I think it's because I don't like it when Sam and Dean are fighting or like at odds with each other.
You hate it. you and Brad Crease are like, I hate it when they fight.
Yeah. And I think that's what it is when I like think about it.
Yeah.
Because Dean's very much like, my brother's lying to me, and now he's gone and got himself seduced by a siren, even though it was him who did. And I'll have to do this on my own. They're very like, they're separated again.
Yeah. They're definitely leaning heavily into that whole like isolation and betrayal theme.
So I'm not gonna like it because obviously we've been talking a lot about predictions for the future and how I feel like they're gonna be played off against each other, and I'm not gonna like it.
I know. They're there, princess. They're there. Somehow you will go on. There are some really funny lines in this episode, though.
Yeah.
Dean saying, like, Greek myth sirens? The Odyssey? Hey, I read. Because Sam looks at him like, how the fuck do you know about the Odyssey? And honestly, all of us were there. That was like such an explainer. Okay. You guys remember all the way back in Hollywood Babylon where they tell you what an explainer is? Because we as an audience would be like, what the fuck, Dean? You have not read the Odyssey. Okay?
Yeah, I was thinking that.
You haven't. No. So that was definitely an explainer. I don't believe him either. Also, the Disney princess names is so funny, and I do have a theory about that.
I was going to bring that up as was this a conscious decision? Like all the Disney princess names.
I definitely have things to say about that in a little while. Also, the international titles make me laugh so much because Supernatural Wiki has this thing where they translate every single version of it into English so you can see what different countries called it. And a lot of them are the same. So like Brazil, sex and violence. German, sex and violence. Polish, sex and violence. It all makes sense so far. We're all on the same track. Hungarian, apparently it translates into I love you deathly.
What?
Hungary, what's happening there? Please explain.
I don't think
I love you
those
deathly.
are the right words. I think something went wrong with that translation.
I don't know. Something weird happened, but it is funny to me. So it's interesting because when I looked into the lore for this episode, like, and I'm going to discuss it at the beginning just because there's not a lot of it, and it feels silly to interrupt the flow of the episode for short pieces of lore. So I'm going to tell you my theories now. Okay, guys, I'm going to tell you the lore now. So, briefly, what I found fascinating is they've gone with the medieval Christian version of the siren, which is demonic. Like it is seen as a demon sent to tempt men. But what I find fascinating is the ideas of witchcraft and like immorality and the whole like women are the devil, you're all the problem, you've always been the problem vibe from the church is heavily integrated into the siren myth, which is something that I wasn't really aware of. So I found some papers and pieces of research where you guys can go ahead and do the deep dive if you want to, links in the show notes. But basically, the sirens were allegorically described as beautiful courtesans or prostitutes who sing pleasant melodies to men and became this symbolic vice of pleasure. So Clement of Alexandria in the 2nd century started that particular like thing where he was like, they're whores. They're come to take in our souls. And then Ambrose from the 4th century reiterated this notion and said that basically they were allegories for worldly temptations and not endorsements of Greek myths because they were talking about this topic so much. People were like, "What do you mean? Are they real?" And he had to be like, "No, it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor." I find it all hilarious, honestly. So by the time of the Renaissance, female court musicians, who are known as courtesans, and this is how I learned where that word came from. I was like, "Oh, courtesan, court musician. It's all starting to make sense to me." They were filling the role of the unmarried companion, and sometimes that might involve sex work. It didn't always, but often would, as I understand it. So you have these musical performances by unmarried women, and they were seen as immoral. Um, they were seen as a creature who could control a man's reason. And so female singers became associated with the mythological figure of the siren, who originally took on this kind of half human, half animal form on the cusp between nature and culture. And
Mm-hmm.
so we're starting to see a dehumanization and a demonization of women in these positions. Um, so they start using this mythos to promote sexism by recasting the sirens as figures of female temptation and sin. And it's deployed by church people who are men preaching from pulpits, right? To warn men away from worldly pleasures, i.e., women and their wiles, portraying women as inherently dangerous and morally corrupting forces. I've always wanted to be a morally corrupting force, Laura. And it just kept reinforcing these misogynistic views that vilified female sexuality and autonomy over our bodies.
Yeah. Tale as old as time.
Mm-hmm.
Bitches be crazy.
Bitches be crazy. Men be emotional. So in this kind of patriarchal society like classical Greece, where women's roles were largely confined to domestic spaces, the siren myth embodied male anxieties about uncontrolled female desire and the perceived threat of female energy. This narrative, which continually places the blame for men's downfall on women, framed them as inherently dangerous and established a long tradition of portraying females as menacing temptresses, reinforcing fears about female autonomy and the power of the female body over male temptation.
Why is it always the woman is bad for being the temptress and not that the man is bad for being tempted?
That is the $1 million question. That is the $1 million question. So, in my degree, we studied gender roles pretty extensively in English and in film. And the dynamics that are baked in our society tend to boil down to two roles for women, and that is the virgin or the whore. And you get to be one or the other, but not both. Women who are threatening or powerful, intelligent, etc., they get labeled as whores, especially when they buck the patriarchal roles they are pushed into. So the good doctor in this episode, who's smart and effectively perfect, becomes a siren the moment she and Sam get it on. Just as in the myth, siren shifts from the sacred, which originally they were sacred creatures, like they're the daughters of gods and goddesses, to become strippers, demons, and murderers. The virgin whore dynamic is hilariously highlighted by the whole Disney princess / strippers dynamic that we see in the episode.
Yeah.
Traditional Disney story arcs are the epitome of good girl virginity that exists to serve patriarchal roles. She gets married and we never hear from her. She has babies, she dies. That's it, right? The rest is silence.
Yeah.
Whereas strippers tend to enrage patriarchal norms because they tip the power dynamic on its head by using sexuality to take money, i.e., power, away from men. They exploit a system built on the exploitation of girls, to which I say slay. So they get demonized because angry Ken dolls hate that they want horses in patriarchy. You know?
Horses in patriarchy.
They want horses in patriarchy, and they're mad because the girls are taking the power back.
Yeah. But I had noticed that the stripper names, so we had Jasmine and Belle. I don't know if we had any others as well.
Yeah, there's Jasmine, there's Belle. I feel like there's one more, but I might
Was
be
there
wrong
an
about that,
Ariel?
'cause maybe we see. Yeah, I feel like
there might have been an Ariel.
I feel like there was an Ariel. I think you're right about that. But I thought it was really interesting because I feel like this episode is kind of like outlining the exact way society takes female power, literally demonizes it, and then tries to destroy women about it. And even Nick like I said earlier, is arguably a lady in drag. He's the siren in drag, basically. So I feel like it still tracks and the theory is still rolling. And I thought it was really interesting because I like it when horror explores themes that are important or relevant. And I think that the demonization of women is definitely always relevant. And
Yeah.
I really liked it for that aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Do you want to do the synopsis?
Yes. I don't know why I always say that in a sort of silly way. Yes, I do.
You do. You're like, yeah.
I would love to.
It sounds like Futurama. Yes.
So this is season 4, episode 14, Sex and Violence. The original air date for this episode was February 5th, 2009. Sam and Dean investigate a series of murders where seemingly happily married men suddenly slaughter their wives. They discover a siren is luring men and compelling them to kill their loved ones. Dean, with the help of an apparent FBI agent, Nick, thinks Sam is under the siren's spell when he gets close to a doctor involved in the case. But it turns out that Nick is the siren and he manipulates both brothers, exploiting the mistrust that is brewing between the two and turning them against each other. At the end of the episode, just as Dean is about to attack Sam, Bobby arrives and saves the day, breaking the siren's spell. But the episode ends with the clear rift between Sam and Dean getting even bigger. Uh-oh.
Dun dun dun. Yeah, there really is a rift this episode. Laura was a little bit traumatized.
Don't like it. Why can't they just be friends?
If you guys are also kind of traumatized whenever this happens, definitely comment on the episode and tell us about it. I can definitely. I feel like I'm jaded because I watch Supernatural a lot.
Yeah,
and I've seen the whole thing. So I am definitely quite jaded when they're like arguing, but I remember when it was really fresh being super upset at those episodes. Like, no, stop it. You're ruining everything. Stop fighting.
Yeah, because the whole premise of the show so far has been that they're brothers. And yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the brotherly bond.
And now they're taking it away.
Yeah, it is upsetting. Especially when it first happens, and you just see the cracks get bigger and bigger and bigger. That is like really difficult to watch.
And it's like hard because you don't really take sides because you can kind of see both sides, but you can also see you can see why they're annoyed with each other. Like I can see why Dean, because Sam is lying to him, but then also Sam is doing what he thinks is right.
Yeah.
And it's
Sam thinks that he's saving the world and doing what Dean should be doing, but doesn't have the ability to do. Dean thinks that Sam is being like deceived and is also falling into like addictive or bad patterns of behavior. Like you can tell he's like, oh, you're lying to me. You're hiding things from me.
Yeah, sleeping with a demon.
Yeah. And when you think about Dean also being kind of like a pseudo dad for Sam and Sam kind of having that, it adds another flavor and it adds another layer to this whole argument. Because like Dean's given up, we've watched him do it. Dean has given up food for this kid. He has raised him. So like there's another layer that just goes beyond if this was your sibling and also your best friend, because they're each other's best friend. They're each other's most important person, which is the whole point of this episode, to tell us that Sam is the most important person in the world to Dean, which we kind of already know as an audience, but it really drives it home so that as the divide goes deeper, it hurts us more because Supernatural writers want us to be in hell as part of the show.
They want us to need to go to therapy.
They really want us to be in therapy at all times.
Yeah. They're trying to traumatize us.
They are trying to traumatize us. So my first notes on this opening scene are, a cute blonde being violently domestic. She is definitely getting ganked.
I didn't like this guy straight away.
This scene is really triggering, isn't it? Like it's a really great portrayal of domestic abuse.
Yeah, I did I think I did take this a bit personally. I've got a note later, but yeah. I didn't like it. And it's how it's his face as soon as he comes home, and you can tell that it's been happening like, because I think the point I make later is I mean I could just scroll my notes to find it, but I think it's something to do with they make it seem like he's only being like it because he's under the influence of the siren later on.
Yeah.
However, her reaction as soon as he comes home tells me that this has been going on a longer.
Yeah.
Like, she's instantly like, it seems like she's been walking on eggshells for like a long time, not just that day.
Yeah. There's definitely an obvious um what's the word that I want here? Like implied escalation. Because there's an escalation in this scene that we see. There's definitely an implied escalation for her as well,
Yeah.
where she obviously knows that something isn't right. And she's sort of fishing when she says that he's working super late. Like she suspects something, right? And he just
Yeah.
absolutely flies off the handle at the smallest of things and then makes it out like it's her fault. And
Hmm.
um yeah, it's just really horrific and very, very well written and very well acted.
Yeah, it is well written because it definitely triggered me. I've been there.
Yeah.
And yeah. That's
Yeah.
how I recognized her face. Like, as soon as, because she looks really scared as soon as he comes home, and just
Yeah.
the whole walking on eggshells thing, you can tell like she's worrying about what she should say because any little thing she says, she knows he's gonna fly off the handle anyway.
And then he does.
Yeah, exactly.
That actress was really good as well because you could see all of these little things happening on her face,
Yeah,
all
definitely.
of these little mannerisms and different things. So she's really fantastic. Um,
Yeah,
I thought that the show was doing what the show does and sometimes brings up important pieces of information. This one seems to be really focused on violence against women and girls. So I have a statistic from the UN headquarters. And in 2023, they did like a massive survey internationally to try to like put together stats on violence against women. Um, and 85,000 women and girls were killed intentionally in 2023. 60% of those homicides, which is 51,100, were committed by an intimate partner or family member. The data shows that 140 women and girls die every day at the hands of their partner or a close relative, which means that one woman or girl is killed every 10 minutes.
yeah, that's a really scary statistic.
It is a very scary statistic.
And obviously, there'll be, there's always people that are like, well, it happens to men as well, and yeah, it does, but it's just that's not good either. But it does happen more to women, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. Like the data is there. Um, I think talking about it, I think this is the thing that can be difficult. Is like there are people who will act like if you bring up one statistic, you're silencing the voices of the others. And I don't believe that that is true. I
No, nor
believe
do I.
that what we do is center the most vulnerable, which means you center the groups that are experiencing the most violence. And so that's what we are doing and will continue to do because that is, I think, how you affect the most change.
Hmm. And this scene also reminds me of something that gets said a lot about the dynamic between men and women, obviously in like heterosexual relationships, we're talking, but
Mm.
where it's like men are scared of being rejected and women are scared of being killed. Like
Yeah.
if they say the wrong thing, like a man can get incredibly violent. And yes, it doesn't
Yeah.
happen all the time, but it does happen. And that definitely is how a lot of women feel. And you have to kind of walk on eggshells.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's also the other thing that's important to remember with these conversations and also these statistics is because women are in so much danger, these numbers are really low because this is super underreported on. So
Yeah.
lots of different kinds of violence against women. The numbers that we have are too low
Hmm.
because people are trying to stay alive, so they are too scared or too smart, depending on the circumstances, to report it.
Hmm.
Because sometimes it isn't always safe to report things accurately. Um, and it can make you a target. So, like, that's harder
Yeah.
to know as well because obviously we as a society need the correct information in order to move forward. And then when you look at numbers that are really staggering or have those conversations that are so difficult and you know that you're not even scratching the surface. Like, the thing that I always think of is, although it's frustrating too, but like, do you remember the height of the Me Too movement?
Mm-hmm.
Like, forget all the drama and the disagreements and all of the rest of it. At the center of it, at the beginning, when everyone said Me Too, and there was a huge wave, and so many people, but especially men, realized that women had been dealing with sexual harassment and violence our entire lives,
Yeah.
from being little girls until up to where we are now. And they were shocked, right? They were shook. And I remember that, like, weight and the seriousness of it all, and how they were like, we're going to change things, we're going to make things better, because for that minute it was visible and it was in everybody's minds, right? And now we're here, and not a whole lot has changed. Like, it like did not stay in the forefront of their minds.
No.
And that is something that is very frustrating. So like, when you get the airtime for these topics, it's very temporary.
Mm-hmm. That's because
And
it gets minimized, because people just say, oh, they're probably lying, and then they kind of, that's their way of like being okay with ignoring it.
Yeah. I also think that people don't want to wake up and process what it actually means about our societies. Everyone in every society. I don't think anyone wants to really look at that and examine it and think about what that means in real life. Because for half of the people, it'll be guilt, and for the other half, it's like trauma.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
And nobody really enjoys that. So like, I think that's part of what happens, is people really don't want to think about it. And that's why I love horror. And that's why I love shows like Supernatural, because storytelling gives us a lens, a safe lens, through which we can examine things in the real world while having this kind of comforting blanket of fiction around us. It gives us permission to speak about things like this and dissect things and do what I think is important, really, and like at the heart of horror, is to examine like, what are the horrible things that are going on in human society, and like, how do we change it?
Yeah, exactly. Let me just go over the opening so that we know, we have the context of what we're talking about. So a woman is tenderizing steaks with a meat cleaver, and when it's written, I'm sure having this particular piece of kitchen equipment isn't going to be a problem at all, is it? Nothing ever happens when there's a meat cleaver in a TV show or film.
Nothing bad's gonna happen with a meat cleaver.
We don't ever show those for any other reason other than tenderizing meat. So then,
especially at the start of a Supernatural episode,
a horror show, the woman's husband comes home, and he immediately is just one big giant red flag. And this is why I wrote it's his face when he comes in, and how the woman was clearly scared as soon as he walked in. And he picks a fight with her straight away, and then apologizes. But then she tells him that they were invited to a party, and for some reason that makes him really angry. And he slams the fridge and has a go at her for agreeing to go to said party, and then bashes her head in with a meat cleaver and kills her, because that's not an overreaction at all.
Rational response.
Yeah, exactly. That's what everyone does when you get invited to a party, isn't it?
Murder. Party murder, they call it.
Yeah, so not the best, not the most fun opening sequence to an episode ever.
Not so much.
Was it triggering at all?
No, it was very
it's pretty chill, really.
Skin. Yeah. So chill. So chill, Laura. So we cut to the motel room, and the camera pans up.
Oh no, the lies!
The lies are coming. So Dean's asleep, and Sam's off camera, but we can hear him say, yeah. A truck horn sounds in the distance, and Dean wakes up, and he turns to see that Sam isn't there. And Sam's still off camera, out of the way, sort of like in the bathroom, basically. And he's saying, yeah, that's what I'm telling you. No storms, no bad crops, nothing. And so Dean gets more awake and more engaged as this goes on. And Sam's like, yeah, okay, we'll keep looking. You keep looking too, okay? All right.
He's trying to listen, isn't he, to what he's saying?
He's definitely eavesdropping. He's dropping the meaves. So Sam hangs up. Dean fakes sleep. Sam walks back in, and then he pokes him with his like bathroom bag, his like wash bag, and he says, "Hey, up and at him, kiddo." And Dean says, "You're up early. What are you doing?" And Sam says, "Nothing. I was in the can." And Dean, with his face that we all know is his face of like, "Oh, this bitch be lying," is like, "Yeah." And Sam says, "Yeah, you want me to draw you a picture?" And Dean says, "No, I'll pass."
Yeah, not really, Sam. Thanks.
Gross. Sam says that he found a job in Bedford, Iowa. A guy beat his wife's brains out with a meat tenderizer. And Dean says, "Yikes." And we were like, yeah, that's what all of us are on the same page. Sam says, and get this, third local inside 2 months to gank his wife. No priors on any of them, all happily married.
Yeah, happily
and
married
Dean says,
in quotes.
Yeah, sarcastic. Dean says, sounds like Ozzy and Harriet. And Sam says, more like The Shining. There's our first Stephen King reference. Not our last, but our first of the episode.
Yeah, I didn't understand the Ozzy Harriet reference. I'm assuming that's something else that's like maybe a domestic violence situation.
So I think he was sarcastically saying that they're like this picturesque American family.
Oh, okay.
And then it's like, nah, more like The Shining.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know what that was. It was a sitcom or something.
Yeah, it's an American sitcom.
Okay. And yeah, I knew the reference to Shining, obviously, because, you know, Jack kills everyone.
Yeah. So. Murder. Red rum. So
then they go to see the husband from the opening scene. He's in prison now, and they're pretending to be lawyers, and they ask him what happened. And he basically, I don't know, says some shit, and then she says,
Laura was like, shut up and die already.
He says, "I loved her, we were happy." And also, this is why I said I'm calling a flag for him not being abusive at all beforehand, because they were trying to make it seem like it was only abusive because of the siren. And this is where I said, like, I'm sorry, that wife was scared and clearly used to walk on eggshells around him. There's no way that was the first time he'd flown off the handle at something minor.
Yeah.
And then they also kind of call a flag because they say that they know he's been going to a strip club and he admits to having a full-blown affair and tells them what the plan was.
And he dropped $9,000 as well and had all this shady different money stuff. And Dean was like really not having it. Like both Sam and Dean kind of play like bad cop in this one. They're really like hard on him, which good. And Dean's like, see certain charges, ones you don't want the missus to know about, they show up under shady names like M&C Entertainment. And he says, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Dean says, like dropping plastic at a nudie bar, for instance. And this is where we find out that the first one's name was Jasmine. Because Sam says, we just want to know the truth. And he says her name was Jasmine. And Sam says she was a stripper. And Dean says, dude, her name was Jasmine. And I died laughing.
Also, I feel sorry for all the Jasmines that are out there now, because I feel like that name has become popular again. But in this time, obviously, Dean thought that was a stripper name.
Well, yeah, and definitely in America in this era, if your name was Jasmine or Crystal, that was for sure a stripper name. I feel like there's another one, like an obvious one. Oh, Candy.
I was then about to say Candy.
Yeah, Candy. Any of the, like, very much like a stripper name. Yeah, that's hilarious. So Benson makes all these excuses. He said he didn't mean for it to happen. His buddy was having a bachelor party and he met her at the bachelor party.
Oh, that's okay then.
And then he says that she came right up to him, and then he says she was perfect and everything that he wanted. Because as we all know, what's most important is men's desires, nothing else. No.
Yeah. But he also says that he doesn't know her last name, where she lives, or even her real first name. But he still killed his wife for her. So, you know, like what?
Yeah.
What?
I know. Sam is thinking the same thing because he asks why he killed his wife, because she didn't even know about the affair. Sam's like, what the fuck, man? Why? And Benson says for Jasmine, she said we could be together forever if only Vicky was. And Dean goes, muerte. That also made me laugh because he's so dramatic. And Benson says that afterwards, Jasmine was supposed to meet up with him, but she never showed. And that's when we
ghosted.
find out that he doesn't have any details on her and she ghosted him. And Sam says, you didn't think to tell this to the cops? And Benson says, what for? She didn't do it. I did. Blah, blah, blah. I know what I deserve. Blah, blah, blah. Insincere. Don't believe him.
No.
Skipping along. To the hot doctor. Okay. So.
And Hot Sam.
And Hot Sam. Hot Sam with the hot doctor.
Yeah, it's just hot. It's hot all around.
Super hot. Yeah. My notes for this scene say... I'm going to read you my notes out of order because they're more hilarious that way. So I wrote...
I feel like we do this quite a bit.
Yeah, we do. But they know what they're in for at this point, the listeners. New listeners, I'm sorry, but this is how we roll.
We mostly are chronological. But
usually.
Sometimes we want to, like, say something funny before.
Yeah. So... Dean cannot handle that the hot doctor has the hots for Sam instead of him, and later will be convinced by that she is evil and has evil flowers, and that is hilarious.
Yeah, I've got something about that later where it's like, because he says that Sam cockblocks him or something, and I'm like, you were trying to cockblock him actually, and you didn't stand a chance because she was totally just wanted Sam straight away.
She's a Sam girl immediately.
Yeah,
immediately a Sam girl. And I died laughing. And then later on, Sam refers to the sirens as dream Barbies. And I said dream Barbie. Well, Sam can hear me. Because I'm constantly being like, oh, look, it's Ken. Oh, look, it's Barbie.
Yeah, Demon Barbie, Demon Ken.
Yeah, exactly. So she was dream Barbie in this episode. And I was just thrilled. I was thrilled with life. I felt so vindicated. So returning to it, we see the doctor is hungover, right? The good doctor had a good time, and she is hanging. And he asked her if she had a rough night, and she said, fun night, rough morning. And Sam kind of like laughs at her expense, but in a cute way. And she says, can I help you? And Sam says, yes, I'm Special Agent Styles, FBI. You Dr. Cora Roberts? And she says, as far as I know. And like, I just love, she has a very Lorelai Gilmore kind of attitude to her.
Oh yeah, she does.
Yeah, she's witty. Okay, she's sassy and she's witty. So Sam asks if she works with the sheriff's department, and she says, yeah, when I'm not slugging it through the ER. It's a small town, we multitask. And Sam says, well, I have some questions about a case, about several cases actually. Do you mind if I sit? And so she tells him it's fine. Basically, she gestures. And Sam says, great. Adam Benson, Jim Wiley, and Steve Snyder. And she's like, oh yeah, all the men who killed their wives. And he says, you handled their workups, right? And Kara says, autopsies for the wives and tox screens for the perps, 2 for 1 special. So Sam says, did you find anything? And she says, not really. I mean, COD, cause of death, on the women was pretty clear. There was nothing unusual in their systems. And Sam's like, what about the husbands? And Kara says, can I see your badge again? Because she's like, And we love her for this because she's clearly highly intelligent.
Yeah. Although no one ever looks at their badges properly because they're so fake.
Well, she looks really closely, so they must have had a more convincing... Like, maybe Bobby made this round, and it's a lot more real looking, because she's like, all right. So she says that there was one thing. There was an anomaly in their blood work, and she remembers thinking how strange it was that it showed up in all 3 men. And so Sam asks what it was, and she says it was oxytocin, and their levels were crazy high. And Sam is like, oxytocin? And... Kara says it's a hormone that's produced during childbirth, lactation, and sex. And the way she says sex, she's clearly flirting with Sam. And it's great. And Sam's like, okay. And Sam does not mind. And Kara says people call it the love hormone. You know how it feels when you first fall in love, the whole weak in the knees, tattoo you on my chest thing? That's oxytocin. Of course, it eventually fades, and then you're stuck with every relationship ever. That and the more painful regime of tattoo removal. So Sam and Kara kind of smile at each other. They have this like amazing chemistry, and then Dean walks in and ruins it.
Ruiner.
But he doesn't. He goes, what did I miss? But there's nothing for him to ruin because he can't even get a foot in the door with this girl, okay? It's amazing. This is the funniest scene in this whole episode. And so Sam says, this is my partner, Agent Murdoch. And Dean says, please, Agent sounds so formal. You can call me Dean. And Kara shakes his hand and says, I'm Dr. Roberts, but has no time for Dean. She doesn't give a fuck. She's like, he's too short for me. you must be this tall to ride this ride, you know?
Yeah, and he looks really taken aback by it as well.
He is like, what the
how
fuck?
dare you not find me attractive?
Yeah. So she turns back to Sam and says, so can I help you with anything else? And Sam says, just one more thing, this chemical, this oxytocin. And Sam says, oxytocin. What would cause those high levels that you found? And she says, nothing that I've ever seen. And he says, okay, that's it. Thanks, Doc. And they give each other these smiles again. Like, these two have chemistry, all right? The fire is a burning. So they move out the door, like Sam and Dean move to leave. And Dean goes through and Sam hesitates and then turns back and says, by the way, try a greasy breakfast. Best thing for a hangover. And she smiles and says, watch it, buddy. I'm the only MD here. Again, love it.
Yeah.
So much. And that's when Dean's like, you just totally cockblocked me. And it's like, bitch.
No, he didn't. They were already flirting. I totally fell for the red herring here as well, because I was like, I bet it's her. She's being really flirty. And I thought, oh yeah, she's gonna be the siren, but yeah.
She was a great red herring.
That's what they wanted us to think.
Very good plot twist. That is definitely what they wanted us to think. And I definitely thought that for like a large part of the episode. So then they're talking about the guys. And Dean saying that one emptied his whole IRA, the other his kids' college fund, all in the same day. And Sam says, live nude girls? And Dean says, a club called the Honey Wagon. And Sam says these guys have affairs too with the stripper also known as Jasmine. And Dean says, yes and no. This is where it gets interesting. Each guy hooked up with a different chick. And Sam's like, so what? These girls all connected somehow? And Dean says, well, they all describe their stripper in the same way, the exact same way. Perfect. And everything that they wanted.
Bath.
And this is when Sam, I know, right? This is when Sam says, yeah, at least until Dream Barbie convinced them to murder their wives.
Yeah.
And Dean says, there's that. And Sam says, you know, it's almost like they were under some kind of a love spell. And Dean says, it sure seems that way. And Sam's like, and they became totally psychotic. And Dean says, absolutely. And Sam says, you seem pretty, Sherry. And Dean says, strippers, Sammy, strippers. We're on an actual case involving strippers. Finally. And he says it like his life has reached its zenith. All right. His life is complete. He is so happy.
Dean
and
needs
I
a hobby.
laughed. I laughed so hard. It was so fucking funny, dude.
I just like
goals.
he needs a hobby that's not like to do with naked ladies. I just wrote in my notes, Dean's excited about a case of strippers because of course he is.
Yep. Yep.
So then we go to the strip club and Dean interviews the owner who's a waste of space and isn't helpful at all and doesn't care that people are dead. And Sam tells Dean that he's spoken to Bobby, who thinks they might be looking for a siren. So Bobby's worked it out already. Dean says, what, like the Greek myths? And then we get the Odyssey stuff where he's like, hey, I read.
And Sam's like, you've never read a book in your life.
Like,
don't
no,
lie to
you
me.
don't.
It's so funny, honestly.
And then Sam says, if you were a siren in 2009 and looking to ruin a bunch of morons, where would you set up shop?
I love that line. that is
a good
one of
one.
my favorite lines ever.
That might have even been the only one I wrote down later, I have a feeling. I can't remember. But yeah, basically the most important part we find out here is that the siren could be one girl who morphs into different people depending on what they sense the guy that they're targeting wants, like his desires or whatever.
Yeah.
And
they also say that the dude's zombie out. And they are playing the music for this episode is Rob Zombie. And what I love about that is A, I love Rob Zombie's music. But B, Rob Zombie's wife, Sherry Moon, is his entire life. Like, this man, album covers devoted to her. Every project that he's on, she's in it. Music videos devoted to her. Songs written about her. Like, it's so romantic. They got together in the 90s and they're still together now. Which is a long time. She's really obviously like so important to him, and it's just so refreshing in this day and age where there's all these different rockers and so many affairs and so much shit to see a man who just fucking loves his wife and adores her. And I thought that was a fun juxtaposition against the episode, and it kind of went well with the theme because the theme is like examining the shittiness of dudes
Mm-hmm.
in marriages and family relationships, and then opposing that with metal from a guy who looks so scary and like mean and does all this horror, but like absolutely loves his wife to bits and pieces.
Mm-hmm.
It's wholesome.
Yeah, I
It
like
makes me
that.
happy.
And then, yeah, so Sam says that Bobby's trying to find out how they kill the siren. So now they need to find it, which would be difficult as it could be anybody. And then as they're talking, a girl called Belle leaves with a man called Lenny. And then we got to Lenny's house.
And we definitely know that it's her because A, Disney princess name, and
Yeah.
B, it has that whole like wishing well vibe where you see a smoke show with a guy who she would not normally walk out of the club with. You know, there's just something off about it.
Yeah. So at Lenny's house, Belle tells him that he's amazing because of how he's caring for his mother, but she doesn't mean it because she's about to make him kill his mother.
Yeah. My notes are like the monster makeup is way off course, but very fun and scary. Because in terms of like what sirens are supposed to actually look like, no. I was kind of hoping they were going to do them with like the fury wings and the talons and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just rip people apart, but sadly no. My notes on the scene say siren. I love how you take care of your mom. It's what I love about you. Also her. Actually kill her. And then I just wrote mixed messages. You know? Mixed messages.
Yeah. So she then looks in a mirror and we see her like real siren reflection. How would you describe that? Because I don't really know how to describe it. It's kind of like bald, has purple kind of skin. The mouth looks kind of like a skeleton and also like a beak.
Huh.
I didn't know how to describe it. I was like, this is strange.
For me personally, the siren looks like a Nosferatu crossed with like as in like the old school Max Schreckish sort of like bald headed, pale as fuck, looks very undead and almost like zombie like, combined with some kind of weird horror mouth where it is skeletal, but it also looks like weirdly malformed and like she's gonna suck your soul in some way. And then when we don't see it in this scene, I don't think, but when we do see the like weird venom tongue thing, it's like this like proboscis stinger situation flying out of the siren's mouth to like bleh, venom. Siren venom. It's so gross.
I think that's
so
later with Nick, isn't it?
And disgusting. It is a bit later on that we see that, but like it's part of the whole creature thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is really creepy.
It ratchets up the horror for me because I think that it's still like the FX and everything still translates really well. I couldn't tell if the whole creature was CGI or if it was somebody in like prosthetics and then they added CGI for certain parts. Because like you know how in the Mummy there's parts where he looks really horrible and he does the extended jaw thing. That happens with this monster makeup. That kind of reminds me of like if you took a Nosferatu and you mashed it up with those parts of the Mummy, that's how I feel like I would describe this creature.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's
honestly
good.
looking
It's a good
nothing
monster.
like a mythological siren. This is definitely like a supernatural version of this where they're like a demon from hell coming to destroy people.
Yeah.
And that's what we've got here.
So basically Belle seduces Lenny and they have sex, and then the pillow talk afterwards is her telling Lenny that he should kill his mum because she takes up all his time and they can't be happy if she's around. And then he gets up, picks up a fire poker, goes into his mum's room, and then we hear him beating her to death, which is pretty brutal. I didn't like that.
No.
And as he's doing it, Belle runs out and leaves him. So she's like, she's gotten what she wants and she's off. Yeah.
She's like, see you, bye.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate for you.
And I did have a fun fact about the actress who played Belle.
Oh, yeah?
This was on IMDb. It says, like, in preparation for the episode, she looked up the history of sirens in Greek mythology, and this led her to using a soft, seductive voice when speaking and a kind of slithering movement when walking, which I thought was interesting. Like, she made that choice to kind of link it to the mythology, which I thought was good.
Yeah, that is really good. And she is very convincing.
Yeah.
For her part, you believe her. Like, you believe that she's this, like, temptress kind of figure. And she does come across as a bit mythic as well. She doesn't seem entirely human, and so I thought she acted it really well. So good job, her. Her research paid off.
Yeah. So Dean is in the motel room looking at Sam's phone as he's left it on top of a book on the table. And he scrolls through the call log and dials a number that was called recently, but it's like a what do you call it? An unknown number.
Yeah.
And Ruby answers. So Dean hangs up. And then I just wrote, again, have I missed something here? Because when they were, what was the episode with the angels and Anna? And they were all,
Heaven and hell.
yeah, they were all buddies. And then
Yeah.
something happened, and Sam is now hiding, like, his connection with Ruby again. And I'm like, did I miss something?
Well, so the only thing that happened in a lot of this, I guess a lot of this kind of happens off screen and is basically implied. But what we're supposed to believe as an audience at this point is that so they temporarily are all really good together in heaven and hell, right? But then Ruby has made her point to Sam because of Alistair that she's right and he needs to do what she's telling him to do and doing all the occult dark shit behind Dean's back. I don't know if she's telling him to hide it still, because before she was like, you need to tell him what you're doing and get him on board. So that like Sam can be strong enough to fight the evil, right?
Mm.
And so Sam is now lying to Dean because he's sure that Ruby is right, but he's also sure that Dean is not going to get on board. So he's lying and being sketchy with Dean, and Dean knows it. So he's obviously stolen Sam's phone. And because he heard him talking when he was asleep and he knows that it's Ruby and he wanted to confirm it. So he clearly stole his phone, calls the number, confirms that he's being lied to, and now he's angry. And it kind of mirrors the like affair scene and tension at the beginning of the episode, because there's obviously some kind of like lying, deception, going and seeing somebody else behind somebody else's back. It's obviously a very different dynamic, but like the hurt is very similar for Dean because his trust has been broken and he feels really betrayed.
Yeah. Okay, so Sam comes back into the motel and says that Lenny, he tells Dean about Lenny, how he's another siren victim and what happened, like he killed his mum and all that. Sam's phone then rings and Dean's like, oh yeah, you forgot this. And Sam looks worried, like he knows that Dean knows about Ruby. And Sam answers it, but it's Bobby. And he asks if they found the siren yet. And he then tells them what he's found about killing it. And he says they need a bronze dagger covered in the blood of a sailor under the spell of the song. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
And he also explains how the siren gets its victim, and that if she gets a dose of her own medicine, it will kill her. And then Dean calls the men OJs, which is quite funny. So,
oh no, that's like a joke within a joke, isn't it? Because he says, I wrote it down. He says, so we just got to find a way to juice one of the OJs in jail. Because, like, OJ is orange juice, but also OJ Simpson,
OJ, yeah.
who clearly killed his wife, but then he got away with it. But then so it's like a joke within a joke within a joke. And I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, I did. I quite liked that joke too. And yeah, he's basically saying that they need the blood from the men. And Bobby points out, no, because they're no longer under the siren spell. And he doesn't know where they're going to get the blood they need. But Sam has an idea, which involves going to see his flirty doctor friend.
Convenient. Convenient.
Yeah.
So there's two really witty plays on words in this part. So when Bobby says about like how they kill the sirens, it kind of is but isn't right. So like sirens can't really be killed by mortal heroes because they're immortals, right? In the myths. But they do die apparently. If a mortal survives their song, their enchantment, then they drown themselves. Apparently there's this prophecy attached to it. So their doom comes from if anybody hears their song and lives. So it's sort of right to say that like it has to be someone under the spell, but it's actually someone breaking the spell. So there's a section that I read about that when Odysseus and his crew pass their island, having blocked up their ears with wax and tied Odysseus to the mast, the sirens, distraught by this failure to lure and kill them, threw themselves into the sea and drowned. So that's one version. That's the only version that I know of where the sirens die. Obviously not the blood of a sailor on an iron dagger, but that does feel like a very supernatural version of that kind of like part of the story. And then Bobby says, be careful, these things are tricky bitches, wrap you up in knots before you know what hit you. And the origin of the word siren basically translates to entangle or tie up. So I was like, oh my God, that's so smart. That's so witty.
Yeah.
That's the nerd stuff out of the way. I'm like the Sam of the podcast.
Nerd stuff. I like nerd stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I like Sam.
Yeah.
So basically Sam's worked out that, well, he's remembered that the doctor has blood samples from the men that were under the spell. So
smart Sam.
Yeah. They go back to the hospital to find Dr. Roberts and get her blood samples with the high oxytocin. And another FBI agent is there already talking to her. And they all flash their badges at each other. And we can see on Dean's face that he's like, oh no, because this guy might be real FBI and they're fake. And then I was like, don't worry, Dean, it's okay, he's not real either. And this is where I wrote, I recognise this guy, he's Hoyt from True Blood.
Yeah.
And they all start lying to each other, which is funny because they're like, well, I'm from this office and I'm from this office and I've been sent down here by the assistant director and we'll call our AD if you don't believe us. And he does. And then so he calls the number that Sam gives him for their assistant director, and it's Bobby. And this is just funny.
Because he has all of those phones labeled like CIA, FBI, Homeland Security, and he's just casually making his
Bobby.
breakfast. Picks up the phone that's ringing, so he knows absolutely which con he's running. And then
he has a kiss the cook apron as well.
Yeah, the details. The details are immaculate. And then he just tells this kid off. He's like, "How dare you actually question me at all?" And it's amazing. So my notes say Sam is like a puppy with a dock. And then the FBI con in which everyone is lying about being FBI. It's a con standoff. I love how Nick is like, I also have a badge. And he introduces himself as Nick Monroe. And I was like, I see what you did there. Because Nick is a Greek name, which I know because of my Nick. I like languages, so I got to talking to some Greek friends of mine. And apparently it's actually pronounced Nikolaos. And it's a reference to the goddess Nike. And the whole translation is victory of the people, basically. So that was really interesting. And then Monroe, I think, is a reference to Marilyn Monroe because she's constantly referred to as a siren.
Yeah.
So Nick Monroe is like Greek, and then siren, the victory of the sirens. That's kind of how I think about his name, and I was like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's witty. And then I wrote, it's a lie-off, and Bobby wins.
Yeah.
If lying was a sport, Bobby's taking home the Olympic medals. So Sam really wants to hang out with the doc and gets rid of Dean via strippers. He's like, he tells him that he needs Dean to go and look for the siren and also get rid of Nick. He says, you'll forget he's even there. Just focus on the naked girls. Because he's like, you need to take Nick with you and go and like canvas trying to find out like a victim that they can use the blood for. And Dean's all serious and he goes, I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for the girls.
I liked the bit where he said, just before that, he says, he's trying to explain that they're lone wolves. And I was like, there's two of you.
Oh my God, yeah. He always does that. You cannot get Dean away from that line. Like, he's like, I'm a lone wolf, or we're lone wolves. Oh, but you know who said that is the Ghostfacers. The Ghostfacers say, we're lone wolves, and sometimes a lone wolf needs another lone wolf.
You know what they also said, don't you?
What?
That the rats of the world.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Laura. Sit on your daisies.
So Nick and Dean go off, and Nick loves baby. They have a little bonding moment. Then we go back to Sam with the doctor, and she's asking why he wants the blood, and he says to run tests. And she's like, I've already run all the tests. And then she goes to get the blood samples, but they've gone. Oh no. So we're now at the strip club. There's some manly bonding going on.
Yep. No, this is so funny. So basically, you have Nick warming Dean up by saying that he loves cars, right? And he knows exactly what make and model baby is, and he like quotes all the information to Dean, and Dean's like, wow. And then they're in the strip club and they're talking music. And Dean says, nobody's fault but mine. And Monroe says Zeppelin recorded it in 75. It was a cover of Blind Willie Johnson tune. Dean says, nice. Monroe says, you shook me. Dean says, 69 debut album written by Willie Dixon. Monroe's like, and? And Dean goes, and what? Monroe says, written by Willie Dixon and J.B. Lenore. And Dean says, dude, you know, for a Fed, you're not a total dick. And this part is fucking hilarious. Because Monroe's like, aren't we both Feds? Obviously, neither of them are, so it's A, funny for that, but B, it's also like Dean putting his foot in his mouth. And he's like, yeah, I know. I just, you know, not a lot of Feds are as cool as us, huh? And I laughed so hard. And then Nick starts setting up the doctor as the fall guy. Mm-hmm. And I wrote, oh no, Dean, not the hyacinths.
Yeah. Also, did you notice there was a bit within the scene where one of the other strippers like looks at them and she looks like really scared? And I was like, what was that? Like, did they notice? Was she just like, oh, they're FBI, or could she see like the siren's real image or something?
Oh, I don't know, but that's fascinating.
Because she
Maybe
just like
there's a mirror.
Yeah.
Because you can see their true form in the reflection of the mirror, can't you?
Yeah.
So you learn that like at the beginning of the episode. And there's lots of mirrors in strip clubs from what I've seen on TV and
that's
stuff.
True,
so
yeah.
I assume maybe that's what that was about.
Because nothing ever, they never mentioned it again. And I was like, but it was, they made it really obvious because she's kind of like looks over them and is like horrified. And then, yeah.
I didn't even see that.
What was that all about?
I'll have to watch it again. Fascinating.
But yeah, so he's like, oh yeah, there's hyacinth petals at all the crime scenes. And then Dean's like, I've seen those before. It was in the doctor's office.
He's so sure that she's the bad guy because she's not into him. It is hilarious.
Yeah.
The only explanation for her not wanting him is that she's evil, clearly.
Yeah, at this point as well, I was very conflicted because I had started to suspect Nick because he was being really like chummy with Dean. But then also because I was still believing the doctor red herring. So I'm like, it's one of them.
Yeah, for sure. I don't really rewatch this episode, so I remembered nothing. I was like, you know nothing, Jon Snow. And I was like, oh, Dean has a best friend. And then I was like, that's suspicious on this show.
Yeah, because when he had a best friend before, it was Gordon.
Yeah. Whenever Dean has a close personal friend and it's not Sam, they're always the bad guy.
And that best friend is trying to like drive a wedge between them or like say that Sam's evil or whatever.
Yeah. It's never good. Even Cass rocks up and is like, yeah, your brother's full of demon blood. Ew.
Yeah.
You know, you stop him or we'll stop him.
They just know he's Dean's weak spot and that's how they get to him.
Yeah.
So we go to the hospital and we see the hyacinths on the windowsill, and Sam and the doctor are looking at CCTV footage to try and work out who took the samples, but they've been tampered with. And she asks Sam why the blood is so important anyway, and he tells her they think the husbands were drugged. And then they're flirting and they start drinking. I also noticed that obviously her shirt has to be just completely undone down the front now.
All the way down.
Because 2000s.
Yeah.
But I did also note that Sam looks pretty hot in the scene though.
He really does. The chemistry is fire.
Yeah. And Dean calls Sam during this flirting, but he doesn't answer. And I was annoyed with Sam here. I was like, why are you not answering the phone to your brother when you're on a case? Like, clearly it's going to be something important. And
Yeah.
this is when I was like, I think it is the Doctor, and he's already under her spell.
I definitely think that's what we were supposed to think. I thought it was
I fell
Ruby
for it.
calling. And I was like, oh, he's ignoring his girlfriend for this random chick who's quite hot.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. So yeah,
That's also, actually, I don't like that Sam was flirting with someone when he's in a relationship.
yeah, it's supposed to show us that Sam is being very unsam.
Yeah.
Because I know Ruby's a demon and everything, but he arguably is in a relationship with Ruby. So he
Yeah.
basically cheats on Ruby, lies to Dean, and it's
Yeah.
all very shady. And then at the end, Dean's like, don't you want to call her after?
Yeah.
And Sam's like, no. And Dean's
Yeah.
like, one and done kind of a thing.
Well, I felt like you when you're always like, this isn't Dean, this isn't real Dean. I know Dean, and he wouldn't say that.
Yeah. See, now
And
you
I'm
know
like,
how it feels.
and I'm like, yeah, but he is like that though, Joy. That's all I've seen. And yeah, so this is now the Sam side of that.
Long suffering sigh. So Sam looks at her pouring the whiskey and says, really? And she says, it's medicine. I'm a doctor. And I was like, I love her. She then goes on to tell him about her ex and says his name was Carl. We were married. And I was like, Cara and Carl.
I hadn't even noticed that.
Yeah, that made me laugh. So they clink glasses, and Sam says, so what happened? And Cara says, life happens. I don't know. I mean, I loved him. Still do, I guess, but I don't know. It's like one day I looked up and I was living with a stranger, and you know what I mean, right? And Sam goes, I guess, or I don't know, maybe. And I think we're supposed to be thinking of both Dean and Ruby when she's talking about this stuff. She says, people change. I know I did, but it's nothing to feel guilty about. It happens. And Sam says, so you two split up? And she says, I suppose that's a word for it. Later on, we learn he died of a mysterious heart attack. And she's a doctor. She's got access to all kinds of different things. So that's a little bit suspicious.
Yeah.
It's not suspicious now, but it's very suspicious later. And we go, interesting. So this is when he ignores the phone. The phone rings. We don't, as far as I know, we don't see who it is. He looks at the number and then he just puts it down. And she asks if he needs to get that. And he says, no, not right now. They get another drink. And Cara says, whatever. We've all got our own sad stories. So screw it. Have fun. No regrets. And live life like there's no tomorrow. Then they clink their glasses together. And she says, for instance, I've been thinking about you all night. Well, parts of you. And Sam smirks in this really hot way. This is my thirst trap of the episode. I'm giving it up now. Phrasing. And says, just parts? And she says, like your lips. They're very distracting. It's a problem. And I can't stop thinking about kissing them. And Sam says, that's so. And Cara says, so what the hell, huh? And then they basically have sex against the window next to the hyacinths.
Uh-oh.
And we see this dramatic pull in of the camera, like pulling right in on the hyacinths.
Yeah, they're really trying to make us think it's her.
Yeah, they really, really are.
Like a bit too hard. Like, look, have you seen the hyacinths yet? They're here.
Right here.
Just in case you didn't see them before.
Give, like, red herring, you know?
Yeah. So then later we see Sam go back to the motel and he calls Dean, and Dean is driving and he's like, where the hell have you been? And he explains his suspicions about Cara being the siren. Sam refuses to believe it though, and Dean realises it's because he slept with her, and he thinks Sam is now under her spell, and points out that Sam has a track record of, quote, banging monsters. Because he says Madison, the werewolf, Ruby, the demon, and now Cara.
Yeah.
And he basically says he doesn't trust Sam now. So he refuses to come and get him and says he'll work it out for himself. But this also doesn't make sense, because didn't Bobby say that in order to kill the siren, they have to have blood of someone who's under the spell?
Yeah.
So, like, Dean thinks Sam's under her spell, so he should be going to get Sam's blood. But anyway.
This is true. But there's a line before we go forward. Dean says, did you sleep with her? And Sam goes, no. And Dean goes, holy crap, you did. Middle of basic instinct, and you bang Sharon Stone. Sam, you could be under her spell right now. And Sam goes, dude, I'm not under her spell. That is so fucking funny, dude. That is my favorite quote, I think, from the whole episode.
Yeah, it's like, well, you would say that, Sam.
Yeah.
And then yeah, at the end of the phone call, Sam gets angry and throws his phone at the wall, and I was like, oh, this is a bit out of character as well, but also kind of hot.
Yeah, thirst trap.
And then Dean then calls Bobby and leaves a voicemail explaining he thinks Sam is under the siren's spell, and then he calls Nick and asks for his help. And
Which is
then,
hilarious.
yeah. But he's his,
He's like, hey,
new brother.
siren,
Hey,
help
new
me with
brother.
the siren.
Yeah, Nick's parked outside a pub and we see Kara get out of a taxi nearby and go inside. And then Dean gets in the car next to him and Nick says, oh, she just went inside. And Dean says they're not going to go in though, they're just going to wait and see who she comes out with. And Dean explains what he thinks has been going on to Nick, who acts like he's crazy. But Dean says he just needs to trust him, and Nick's like, okay, because he's just telling Dean what he wants to hear, obviously, because he's a siren.
Mm-hmm.
And I was definitely suspicious of it being him at this point.
Yeah. Good for you.
It took me long enough.
So then Dean says he's surprised and he says, thank you. That's actually nice to hear. And we realize the contrast between Nick and the way that he is with Dean and Sam and the way that he is with Dean. And you could tell how sick Dean is of being lied to in this scene. It's really, really well acted. So then he takes a swig from his hip flask and offers it to Nick. And Nick drinks it and then hands it back. And Dean takes another swig. And Nick says, so let's say she's drugging her Vicks. How's she pulling that off? And Dean says she could be injecting them, or passing the toxin through physical contact. And so Nick says, or it could be her saliva. You really should have wiped the lip of that thing before you drank from it, Dean. And then Dean, like the penny drops.
He says it in such a creepy way as well.
Yeah. And says, I should be your little brother, Sam. You can't trust him. Not like you can trust me. And then we see the monster reflection in the rearview mirror. And then he goes on to say, in fact, I really feel like you should get him out of the way so we can be brothers forever.
Forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
We both had the same thought.
We really did, because we're the Shining twins, clearly. So Dean says, yeah, you're right. And I wrote down, Dean is the himbo, part 200. Oh, man.
He's fallen for a siren, pretended to be his brother, or wanting to be his brother.
Yeah. So then we cut back to the motel room, and Sam walks in, and Nick is sitting on the bed.
Yeah, all creepy.
And Sam says, yeah, he's like, Nick, what are you doing here? And Dean jumps Sam and holds a knife to his throat. And Sam's like, Dean? And then Sam says to Nick, I got to tell you, you're one butt ugly stripper. And that had me laughing out loud. Like, it's amazing. And he says, well, maybe, but I got exactly what I wanted. I got Dean. And Sam says, Dean, come on, man. This isn't you. You can fight this. Let me go. And Nick to Dean says, why don't you cut him here, just a little on his neck right there? And Dean does. And Nick turns around and says, Dean's all mine. And Sam says, you poisoned him. And Nick says, no, I gave him what he needed. And it wasn't some bitch in a G-string. It was you, a little brother that looked up to him, that he could trust. And now he loves me. He'd do anything for me. And I got to tell you, Sam, that kind of devotion, I mean, watching someone kill for you, it's the best feeling in the world.
Is it?
Sam says, is that why you're slutting all over town? And I was like, ooh. And Nick says, I get bored like we all do, and I want to fall in love again and again and again. Sam says, I'll tell you what, I fought some nasty sons of bitches, but you are one needy, pathetic loser. And Nick says, you won't feel that way in a minute. And then he grabs Sam's face and does the whole toxic, gross siren venom shit thing.
That's horrible.
Ew, with like 16 W's.
No, I wrote that I didn't care for it. 0 out of 5 stars. Would not recommend.
Do not recommend to a friend. No,
that was horrible. It's like a snake, like a.
It is. It's like a snake or
venom.
Scorpion or something. It's just like super like gross. No.
And now then, so hang on. So the siren can like do this snake venom spit thing, but also just like look into people's eyes to make them under the spell.
Yeah, seems like it. Well, because it's look deep into my eyes, but then it's also swap spit with me because
Yeah.
it's either kissing or
Oh,
sharing a
yeah, I
cup.
see, yeah. Yeah, okay.
See what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah. But now they're both under his spell and they've got to fight to the death.
I have to tell you, this entire time, having to say Nick over and over and over again because of my husband, Nick, is hilarious.
Yeah, I thought it was funny
I've
as
been
well.
laughing inwardly.
So have I.
I made him watch this episode with me, and it was fucking hysterical. So I turn around to him and be like, "Yeah, Nick." So Nick says, "I know you two have a lot you want to get off your chest, so why don't you discuss it? And whoever survives can be with me forever." And Sam and Dean turn to face. This is the fucking thirst trap to end all thirst traps. This fight scene right here. Oh. So Dean says, "Well, I don't know when it happened. Maybe when I was in hell. Maybe when I was staring right at you. But the Sam I knew, he's gone." And Sam says, "That's so." But he's like really squaring up. And again, it's hot when Jared is just not playing down the cute and like sweet brother when he's actually using every inch that he has upon his body. He's a very large man.
I missed the thirst traps because I don't like it when they're fighting. But
Laura,
also, yeah.
it's so hot though.
Yeah, okay. Also, I would like to give you a flag, Joy, because
Why? What did I do?
You're always like, "Oh, I'm just a Dean girl through and through." But I swear you've had more Sam thirst traps than Dean ones since we've done this podcast.
Since
I
season
think you're
4,
both.
doing this watch through, I swear to God, before we did this podcast, I never thought Sam was hot, like at all, like not even remotely. I just was like, "Oh, the cute little nerd." This
You love
watch
Sam.
through, I'm like, okay, Sam is actually hot, and I can understand where the Sam girls are coming from. I'm still a Dean girl,
Are you?
but I definitely see it. Just like there's times when you see the Dean thirst traps.
I think you're both.
Well, then you're both. If I'm both, you're definitely both.
Yeah.
That ended that really quickly. Anyway, Laura, if I could podcast. So Dean says, and it's not the demon blood or the psychic crap, it's the little stuff, the lies, the secrets. And Sam says, "Oh yeah, what secrets?" And Dean says the phone calls to Ruby for one. And Sam says, "So I need your say-so to make a phone call?" And Dean says, "That's the point. You're hiding things from me. What else aren't you telling me?" And Sam just says, "None of your business." And it gets more and more aggressive as they're talking to each other. And Dean says, "See what I mean? We used to be in this together. We used to have each other's backs." And Sam says, "Okay, fine. You know why I didn't tell you about Ruby and how we're hunting Lilith? Because you're too weak to go after her, Dean. You're holding me back. I'm a better hunter than you are. Stronger, smarter. I can take out demons you're too scared to go near." And I was like, that's both horrible and also incredibly sexy. And Dean says, "That's crap." And Dean getting angry is also, see, for me, it's violence. Violence is such a thirst trap for me, and I have deep emotional issues, clearly, because that's probably not right. So Sam says, "You're too busy sitting around feeling sorry for yourself, whining about all the souls you tortured in hell. Boo-hoo." And then they start trading punches and like really getting into it. And Sam shouting, "You're not getting in my way anymore." Dean runs at Sam. They crash through the door into the hallway floor. Dean gets up while Sam lies on the ground and breaks an emergency glass. He pulls an axe out, and I was like, thirst trap. This is the ultimate. See, this is the thing where I will always come back. I always think that Dean's hotter than Sam because Sam might be super hot, but he is not. Dean breaking through that like glass, pulling out an axe, doing the "here's Johnny" moment hot.
Yeah, he does.
Not.
He does a good Jack Torrance like quite a lot, doesn't he?
He does. He's amazing. It's the sexiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. So, meanwhile, Nick in the background is saying, "Do it for me, Dean." And Dean says to Sam, "Tell me how weak I am, huh, Sam? How I hold you back." Well, he's about to like behead him with a fucking axe. So Dean swings the axe over his head. Sam is about to go night-night forever. But he's like trying to shield his face. And then we see Bobby grabs the axe, steps in, jabs Dean in the shoulder with a bronze knife, making him like cry out. And I wrote, "Bobby is the man."
Yeah.
So Nick
Bobby's got to come in and save these idiots.
He does. Nick starts to run away. And Bobby raises the knife. And Sam's screaming, no, no, because he's obviously under the spell.
Mhm.
And he throws the knife flawlessly and it hits Nick square in the back.
That was
He
kind of
falls
cool.
dead. It's cool as fuck. And his siren reflection is shown in the mirror.
Mm.
It's just dark and creepy and awesome.
Yeah. And then they kind of like Sam and Dean snap out of it, don't they? But you can tell that they remember what they've said to each other.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is going to be sad later.
Yeah.
And then the next morning they're saying that they didn't mean what they said to each other, but we can tell that they don't believe each other. And at the end there was the most unconvincing "we're good" I've ever heard.
Yeah. This is very true. Bobby's great as well because Bobby like brings some Coca-Cola. And they're like, why isn't it beer? And he's like, you're driving, aren't you?
Yeah, because he's their dad and he's responsible.
Such a dad moment. And it's so perfect. Bobby is fucking flawless, man.
Yeah.
He turns up, he stops Dean from murdering his brother, which like 10 points, you know?
Yeah.
And then he stops them from drunk driving, which is also awesome. Or at least having, I guess you can drive with a beer, but still, like he makes a good point. And then he says like that it's not their fault and the sirens are really tricky and nasty and they shouldn't feel bad for what happened.
Yeah. And they probably don't necessarily feel bad about that, but it's what they said to each other though, isn't it? Because that's obviously come from somewhere. They do believe, like, Dean doesn't trust Sam and Sam thinks Dean is weak.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be good.
There's a reason why the demon that came after him was pride.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. So, Dean asks if Sam is going to say goodbye to Kara, and he says, nah, not interested. And Dean says, why not? And Sam says, what's the point? And Dean says, well, look at you, love him and leave him. And it's just another clue, like, among the many clues that Sam isn't really Sam at this point. Something is changing him. And then he says, you know, I didn't mean the things that I said back there, right? Like, it was just the siren spell talking. And Dean says, of course, me too. And then there's more silence. And then Sam says, this is what Laura was talking about. Okay, so we're good. And Dean says, yeah, we're good. And no one in this conversation believes what anyone is saying.
No one's
we
good.
don't believe it. They don't believe it. Like, no one is good. No one is okay. We should all be in therapy together.
It's all bad.
It's not okay at all. We're all very sad. They walk into the car and the episode ends, and so do our hopes and dreams.
Yes.
What I love about you as a co-host is these witty rejoinders, you know, the Shakespearean banter that you give me.
I do sometimes.
You do. You really do. This is not what there's moments where you just look at me real blankly and then you go, yes. That's it.
Well, I mean, I didn't have anything else to add because I agree.
Yeah. I'm dead. Do you want to play games?
Yeah. So, villain hot or not? I mean, he's kind of hot. Like we said at the beginning.
Yeah, he's hot. Yeah.
I think he counts.
Hot. He counts, yeah. He's hot. He's a hot villain.
What did you think about any of the other sirens? Were any of them hot?
They're all hot.
They're all hot.
Everyone's hot.
Siren Barbies.
Bisexual for the win.
Everyone's hot.
Dream Barbies. Yeah.
What was your episode scare rating?
I give this episode a solid 5, I feel like. Maybe a little bit higher. Because, like, it didn't terrorize me. Like, there's some episodes where I sit and I watch them and I'm like, this is making me so scared to watch this right now. That when I was watching this episode, I wasn't, like, actively scared. I was really engaged. There were moments that were gory, gross, terrifying, triggering. Like, the first scene of the episode is the scariest part. I think that's what it is. I think it's like the scariest part is right in the beginning, and then nothing after that actually was really that horrible. You could predict what was going to happen. Like, we knew formulaically exactly basically what was going to happen. As soon as she goes home with that like weedy little dude, you're like, oh, he's going to end up killing that guy's mom. So it's horrible, don't get me wrong, and it is scary, but it's not like keeping me up at night, locking the doors, double checking stuff scary.
See, I gave it higher because I remember I gave it higher after the second time I watched it. The first time I think I had it at about a 5, but the second time I bumped it up to an 8.5 because the siren is scary, like the actual monster
Yeah,
is scary.
it is. Yeah.
Nick is pretty creepy. Like when they realize who he is, he just like does that change and then he's like really evil.
Yeah.
Which I thought was scary. And
It is
then
scary.
the murder at the beginning, like all the domestic violence stuff was scary. The
Yeah.
When the guy killed his mum, like there's just the sounds, that was horrible.
That was really horrible, yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was actually pretty scary on my second watch.
Hmm. Okay, maybe I'll up it to like a 7.
You don't need to change it just because mine was higher.
No, I just feel like we talk it out, don't we? And we consider it.
Yeah.
We consider each other's points. So I will give you that it is dark, man. It is dark. There is tension. Yeah, I don't know. I think I spent so much time being thirst trapped or laughing that I didn't really find the horror in it.
Yeah.
That like it wasn't as heavy for me. Also, it doesn't affect me as much when they argue. And
Yeah, I do like that either.
yeah, so like and I know that Sam's going down a darker path. So I'm like less like the first time that I watched this season, I was absolutely horrified the whole way through. And I think first time watching it, I would have given it the same rating that you gave it. But because I'm old and jaded, it doesn't hit as hard for me. So it didn't scare me quite as much as it scared you.
Yeah. What were your favorite quotes?
Okay, I have so many, but I think my actual favorite is this one that I have highlighted, which is when Dean says, "Did you sleep with her?" And Sam goes, "No." And Dean's, "Holy crap, you did. The middle of Basic Instinct and you banged Sharon Stone. Sam, you could be under her spell right now." And Sam goes, "Dude, I'm not under her spell." Just have this like petty little back and forth. It's so funny.
I only had one, and it was the bit where Sam says, "If you were a siren in 09 and looking to ruin a bunch of morons, where would you set up shop?"
I love that one too. It's amazing. There's some really, really funny ones. When Bobby hangs up and goes, "Idiots."
Oh yeah, the whole conversation. In fact, we didn't even say that earlier. Can I just say it because I had it saved?
Do it, yeah.
Bobby, when Nick calls Bobby, this was how it went. So Nick says, "Yes, hello, it's Agent Nick Monroe. I'm calling about 2 of your men, Styles and Murdoch. It seems like they've been put on my case by mistake." And Bobby is like frying his lunch, and he says, "Are you questioning my authority?" And Monroe's like, "No, sir, I'm not questioning." And Bobby says, "You could have fooled me. Last time I checked, son, DC had jurisdiction, or am I wrong?" And then Nick's like, "No, sir." And Bobby says, "Well, good. Next time you want to waste my time with stupid questions, don't." And then he hangs up the phone. It was just the don't. And then he goes, "Oh, those idiots" at the end, because he's like, "Oh, what have Sam and Dean got themselves into now?" But it was just the next time you want to waste my time, don't.
Yeah, that part is so funny. It's so good.
Yeah. I love Bobby.
I also love Sam being like, "You seem pretty cheery." Because they're just discussing like murder, right? And Sam's like, "You seem pretty cheery." And Dean says, "Strippers, Sammy. Strippers. We're on an actual case involving strippers. Finally." Like, that is one of my favorite lines from this whole episode.
I just had an eye roll then.
Dean is so Dean.
What was your best thirst trap then? I bet it was a Sam
Him
one.
with the axe.
Oh,
No, okay. There's two. There's two. Number one is Dean with the axe. Anytime Dean picks up an axe, that's the number one thirst trap for me.
You've got Dean with an axe, and I've got Sam with a shovel.
Yeah. Yes. That should be a sticker or something. Honestly. You know what I've been reminded of recently, actually, is we have some new listeners replying to our old stuff. And we used to post, like, you know how we do the Thursday out of content? We used to post our thirst traps from the episode.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of want to do a poll for this episode, like Sam flirting with the good doctor versus Dean with the axe, and see what rates for people. But
that
yeah,
would
it's
work actually, because that was what my thirst trap was Sam in the white shirt during while he's flirting with the Doctor.
that is hot as fuck. You know what? That's number 2 by such a small margin. It's amazing. But yeah, Dean with the axe is my favorite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you also like it when Dean is like, anytime he's kind of hitting something or kicking a door in.
Violence, man. It's violence for me.
Yeah.
This is why I read so much dark romance. I have issues. Deep emotional issues.
Yeah, and I like it when Sam throws stuff.
You do, yeah.
Or if he's like protecting. That's the best one.
You like when he's being a human
When
shield.
he's being a human shield is the best.
Yeah, and you like it when he's screaming Latin at demons.
Yeah, he doesn't really do that anymore because now he has his powers.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to scream Latin at them. He just does constipated face. That's not hot.
Every single time you say that.
You can't unsee it now.
No.
Right, MVP's Bobby, definitely, right?
Yeah, for sure. There's no debate.
Like, they would have died if he hadn't turned up.
They would be so dead. Like, Sam,
at least one of them.
Sam is dead again. Dean's like, oh no, I murdered my brother.
Yeah. And then
it's going to add to his survivor's guilt, right?
Yeah,
like,
and then he'd have to go and
souls.
get another demon deal and, just get all that hassle. Right, what did you think of the motel? I've got something specific to talk about for the motel.
Okay. So
I didn't even give it a decent rating.
I thought I didn't take a huge amount of notice of it, if I'm honest, because I feel like we see it for very short amount of time. So I didn't really see a lot. I didn't see enough to be like, oh, that's the theme. What I did see, it looked nice. Like, I would stay there. So I guess 4 stars. I don't know. But yeah, I didn't see like giant mermaid tails or birds or anything.
No, and this is what I was going to bring up, because I noticed something very specific that doesn't seem to fit with the theme, and I don't understand. So,
okay,
when Sam comes back and Dean's been like going through his phone, you see the wallpaper and it has like lions all over it, doesn't it? It's like the rampant lion thing that's on the. There's a Scottish flag that's what it might have been.
Yeah,
and I was like, why does this? There must be some sort of significance, because they always think these things through. But I looked it up. And all I could come up with was it's to do with Scotland. It's also to do with Valor. And the AI overview, when I looked up what's the lion rampant, I think that's how you say it, lion rampant meaning. And it says it symbolizes strength, courage, nobility, and valor. And like heraldry. And it's to do with royal families and things. And it's like, how, I don't understand. That doesn't really have anything to do with the theme of the episode.
Interesting. So when I did a quick search, there's some bits that I didn't say out, but if you read through my whole research, like the Wikipedia link, you can see it there. So like sirens in mythology are not only like the original version is the bird woman, but there are other variations, and they kind of become like these like chimera like creatures, like these different beasts combined with women's bodies. So there are lion type bird, like a bird lion mashup, and the sirens can be depicted kind of like as chimeras displaying parts of different animals. So that could be what it is. That's possible.
Yeah.
The other thing that I'm thinking of is the lion rampant in heraldry represents like people, as in monarchs, who are chosen by God to rule. But the rampant lion, the roaring, raging lion, is about fighting for that, like fighting to rule, fighting to be at the top. And Sam and Dean in this episode actually come to blows.
Yeah,
so you could argue that like symbolically, it's them raging and fighting each other. So you have these two epic heroes fighting against each other.
I think that must be what it is. So instead of it being siren themed, it's just they focused on the brother relationship, the brother dynamic as the theme. I think that must be what it is.
Yeah, the Raging Lions.
Because it always means something. There's always some link, isn't there?
Yeah, there always is. It's always a deeper metaphor.
You worked it out because you're a smart cookie like Sam. You're our very own Sam.
I'm using my degrees for stuff. Woohoo! Look at me go. What's really fun for me is we have some listeners who have degrees as well. And I'll be like, I'm using my degree. And a couple of them have started writing, me too. Same here, I swear. And that's amazing. I love that. Like arts degrees unite.
Yeah.
So, as you may remember, sweet listeners, we got really excited by the idea of doing a Halloween bonus episode. And if you are interested in submitting your local folklore, your spooky stories, anything like that, you still have time right now to submit stories. The deadline is I think we said the 20th or the 22nd was, Laura?
Yeah, I can't remember. Somewhere the week before Halloween, I think.
The week before Halloween. Okay, so you have until the week before Halloween. Because we need a little bit of time to edit and put things together and make sure we have all our research ducks in a row. The mental image of a research duck is really funny, guys, not gonna lie. So basically, if you have anything that you want to submit, get yourself together and send it into the email. Our email is always in our links, both on our pages and in our episode notes. It's on there, and you also hear it at the end of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? The Witches of Letters?
The Witches of Letters at gmail.com.
Look at me. I know our email. Sort of. Vaguely. So yeah, if you would like to participate, please do. We have it set up so that you can either be anonymous or we can say that you contributed it. Just let us know in your like little description bit whether you are looking for anonymity because you're shy and adorable, or if you want us to be like, hey, this is our friend so and so. So yeah, we're very, very excited for that. And that's it for this episode. Thank you very much for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe. We would be very grateful. And if you know someone who would enjoy it, please share.
You can find us on Instagram at the Witches of Letters podcast, or you can email us at thewitchesofletters@gmail.com.
Until next time, stay safe out there, have each other's backs, and always keep fighting.